I just wanted to congratulate y'all. I'm your biggest fan. I nerd out all the time. I get to watch you guys ride and cannot wait to see how you do, but I know you're going to represent us well. So we're proud of you. I can tell you the entire team back in Arizona, and then plus the new team that's developing here, all are just ecstatic. So thank you guys, and best of luck. Can't wait to watch it.
And Shane is very humble. He's a big fan. He's doing a lot with USA BMX freestyle and amateur and the Tulsa headquarters. So I'm a big fan of Shane as well, and he's doing a lot for the sport. So thank you, Shane. And then also on the call we have Justin Wall, which you all are very familiar with. You've seen him more this year than me. So he just is gonna be here to help out. He does all of our social media. I'm sure you guys have seen just the great coverage he's given you guys throughout this year. And so he's going to help out with some questions today. And then if you want to pull up the clip, we have a fun video to show you.
Okay.
Thank you. Hopefully you could, it was a little glitchy, but so without further ado, our guest of honor, Alise Willoughby from St. Cloud, Minnesota, 3-time Olympian, 2016 silver medalist. Connor Fields from Las Vegas, 3-time Olympian, 2016 gold medalist. Corben Sharrah from Tucson, Arizona, 2-time Olympian, won UCI World Championships in 2017. Felicia Stancil, Lakeville, Illinois, first-time Olympian, and the 2019 USA Cycling Elite National Champion. And Payton Ridenour from Pottstown, Pennsylvania, first-time Olympian, defending UCI Pump Track Champion and 2020 USA Junior National Champion.
I put them on. Not my Tony dog.
That is not my child.
That's my son.
So I'll kick it off to Justin. He's going to start with one question for all 5 of you to get us started. And then media, please feel free to raise your hand if you want to ask a question or put it in the chat, and we'll get it started.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Like Shane said, it's been a long road to get to this point, with the postponement of the Olympics. Now it's finally happening. For 4 of you, you kind of knew your spots were set in stone. Payton, this is a kind of a new, within the past couple of weeks, you're on the team now. I just want to know, where's everyone's mindsets going into it? Kind of tell us what you're thinking as you're preparing for your race in July.
And is that everybody or?
Yeah, everybody. Feel free to jump in.
I think it's pretty cool. Like you said, we've kind of been delayed a whole year, which I know that's kind of derailed a lot of people's plans and things like that. But It's been fun, definitely. Kind of crazy having a bit of time off. Usually as BMX racers, we don't have much time off. So kind of that little break where we didn't race too much, I think was good for everybody. I think it was good to kind of refresh your mindset and kind of jump back in and get ready and be able to train and kind of be healthy. And because a lot of us don't really, honestly, don't race healthy. Like you're racing probably 85 to 90% ish, sometimes less than that. So I think it's been good for everyone and good for getting healthy and definitely awesome that we're able to kick this thing off. And then yeah, being able to just be able to race the games, and a little bit of a bummer to not have fans, but it's the Olympics and it's the biggest sporting event there is. So it's cool. I think it's cool for everybody.
Yeah, I can jump in then. I think that, yeah, this has been obviously a trying and testing year for the whole world. And I think that, like you said, 4 of us have been pretty fortunate in knowing, because since the period of qualifying lasted for multiple years going into this, 4 of us were pretty well set with our results coming in. And I think that resulted in probably a pretty healthy environment for all of us to prepare for this Olympics and be able to just, focus on the job at hand. And there's enough uncertainty around everything else that at least the one thing was a bit more certain, that we knew what we were training for and the purpose of that. And I hope that everyone's better for it. I know for me, I'm happy and excited and just grateful that everything is going forward. It's the Olympics and it may look a little different this time around, but I think everyone here has obviously put their heart and soul into it. So it's a good thing that it's happening. And then on top of it, I think, it's the mental health of all of the athletes as well. I think it's really important being able to, like I said, have known kind of a bit more certainty during what's already been a really uncertain time. I think there's a lot of times a lot of gray area, or there can be a lot of gray area. And I think the USA Cycling and USA BMX set out a great criteria that left us in a pretty good spot, not dealing with that stuff. So that's good. And I think, we've also been really fortunate on the USA BMX series to be able to compete this in end of 2020. And then throughout 2021, we were able to have obviously world-class competition right here on home soil without having to travel internationally for those spots that some people were having to. So kudos to Payton on, she did have to go fend for a spot and she did some traveling. I think that the beauty of it is that we were able to race right here at home. So thank you to the USA BMX series for providing that opportunity.
Felicia, what are your thoughts going into the Olympics and, with the year off, like Corben and Alise touched on, kind of where's your headspace going into it?
It is nice to have it's a year later, but it is nice to know that we're going to the games in a safer manner than we were going to. So besides that, I think we've all just been like kind of focusing on the present, and we are like very lucky to be doing these races from USA BMX within the past so many, like 7 months in Scran. So I think it's the USA BMX races, and me and Payton were fortunate to do a World Cup. I did 1, Payton did 2. So kind of just keep it going, and fortunate to be competing in a safer manner this year.
Definitely. Payton, the new person on the team, how was it competing for those spots in Italy and Colombia, and now you're on it? Kind of where are you at competitor wise and just a lover of BMX?
Well, I'm definitely super stoked still. I don't think I'll ever not be stoked, but no, like I went to Italy and Colombia and it was a lot of traveling, and right when I got home from Colombia, it was like, all right, now you're going here, 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 here. So it was a lot of unknowns, and how the other 4 kind of already knew that they were going to be going. It kind of all got put on me like really quickly. So it's pretty overwhelming, but yeah, again, like I couldn't be more stoked. And I raced my first junior year in 2019, but I kind of missed out on my second junior year in 2020. But so the transition from junior to elite has been a little tough, especially missing out on that second year because the level of racing and all the girls is just off the charts. So it's a lot of adapting and just kind of trying to learn the ropes a little bit.
Definitely. And ending off with our defending gold medalist, Connor Fields. You've been very dominant this year on the USA BMX circuit. You have been for years and years on the world circuit. You know, where are you going into this these Olympic Games? Kind of where's your mindset through training and traveling to the games?
Yeah, it was kind of funny, I guess, going into what was meant to be the Olympic year last year, talking to the people around me and just, within myself, I was thinking, yeah, I've been professional for 11 years. I've been to a couple Olympics. I've had it go well. I've had it not go well. Like, I've got so much experience. There's nothing you could throw at me that I haven't seen before. And then there was a global pandemic and the first ever postponement in the history of the Olympics. So it was definitely a new challenge for everyone. But I've always thought that part of being a successful elite athlete is kind of just dealing with whatever gets thrown at you. And so that was the mindset the whole time was, all right, this is just the new challenge. This is just the new reality that we have to deal with, and figuring out how to make the best of it and how to still try to put myself in positions to be successful. And that has kind of really been what it's been all about. And like some of the others touched on, we've been lucky to have had events to continue to compete at. And I've put a big priority on trying to do well at those events and feel like I'm, in good shape, in good form going in. And yeah, it's been great. And then as far as like having the qualification, a little bit more sure this time, it's a change from my past two Olympic experiences where I was injured in 2016 and then 2012, I had to go through the trials. So it has been nice to have the ability just to kind of train and prepare for the games specifically, as opposed to preparing for qualification events. So that's been a nice change, and I'm definitely appreciative of that opportunity. And yeah, I'm just excited we're going to get to go race, and it should be a good time.
Awesome. Okay, so we have some questions here. We'll go to Dan Moriarty from CNN.
For putting this on today. Really appreciate your time. This is a question for Alise. What has this journey meant to you and your husband, Sam, and what would it mean to win a medal in Tokyo?
Unmuted myself. Thank you for the question. Yeah, obviously it's been, no Olympic journey, I think, goes without its trials and tribulations. And I think obviously this one has had a few in my case, but I think that more than anything, it's just been a learning curve together. Obviously I raced side by side with my husband for many years, and now he is found his way back on my team in a different way. And I think that we are both have been learning and growing as people and as athlete and coach in both of those relationships. And I think that it's made us both better. I think, the extra year, as tough as everything has been as well for everybody, I think that it kind of gave us that extra year to kind of actually complete what's now been 4 years of working together. So I'm trying to look at that as a positive, and that we got an extra year. But I think, winning a medal, not winning a medal, whatever it may be, the journey is all about what we're doing right now here in the preparations. And I know that I'm, in better form than I've ever been. And that's a testament to what he's been able to do and, what we've been able to accomplish together. And yeah, obviously it would be very special to win a medal, but at the end of the day, it doesn't define either of our successes.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Mike Carruth from BMX News.
Good morning, everyone. You can all hear me okay? Okay. Well, first of all, I'd just like to say congratulations to the whole team. You know, those of us in the BMX community in the United States and certainly the whole nation are very proud of what you've done and what you will do in the month or so here. But this first question I have is for Payton, as the most current, the newest member of the team. Congratulations on earning that final spot. Your coach, I believe, is Ariel Martin, who in 2012 had a tragic wreck on the very day the team was leaving for London. It was heartbreaking for her, certainly, but and all of us who were fans. What advice has she given you in terms of riding and training that may influence, you know, that hard-earned experience that she had and how you're going to conduct yourself leading in?
Ariel and I have definitely been working a lot together, and we're super close, and she is doing everything she's trying to do everything she can to help me. So even though she didn't get to race at the games, she has tons of experience, and yeah, just kind of helping me with the experience aspect of stuff, because that's just the one thing that I'm lacking right now compared to everybody else, because I am so young and so new to everything. She's definitely been helping me just like with the normal stuff, gym, sprints, stuff on the bike, but more than anything, it's been the mental side of things and trying to prepare me for any situation that might come my way that I haven't been able to experience yet.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Max Adams from Voice of America News.
However, first of all, congratulations on your success. We're all proud of you. The past year was tough for everyone, and I can only imagine how tough it was for you athletes. Now Olympics, after postponement is approaching. It's just less than 2 months from now, and yet still there is lots of controversy around the Olympic Games. The organizers have been criticized. There is a fourth wave of pandemic in Japan going on right now. Top Japanese health official expressed concern that to hold Olympic Games in such conditions is unwise. And the recent polls among Japanese shows that they prefer to postpone Olympic Games again or not to hold them at all. But organizing that Olympic Games is such an event that actually in these difficult times is something that we need, that can unite people. So what do you think about these controversies and how it makes you feel going into Olympic Games in this situation?
Is that for everyone, Max?
Yeah, for everyone, whoever wants to answer.
Well, I guess I'll start. Look, the way that I look at that is so far above my head. I have absolutely no say of what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, what protocols they're going to take, what certain people think, like that. I can't change or affect any of that. All I can do is do my part and try to follow whatever rules have been set up and go and try to do my best as an athlete and let the politicians and the doctors and the other people do their jobs. No matter how I feel, no matter what I think, it's not going to change anything. So I try not to concern myself with that. And I just try to focus on doing my job, which is to go and try to win a bike race.
I'll pick up off Connor, I guess. And yeah, obviously, like you said, it's not any of our choice, but at the same time, I think that, the postponement has provided a great opportunity for, the world to kind of get things a bit more in order. I know Felicia touched on it before too, and we're in a better place than we were, a year ago running into everything. So I think that, as tough as it may be, Japan and Tokyo organizers, I mean, they are such a they're hardworking and well-respected culture, and I know that they will do everything in their power to provide an absolutely safe environment for everyone. And the Olympic Games by nature is a bit of a bubble anyway, and I guess they're just gonna probably have to keep us in our bubble more than ever. But I do hope and that they stick to what their plan is, and obviously I don't think another postponement is really in the cards. So hopefully for all the athletes and like you said, as a uniting force of hope kind of for the world, I mean, it'll be more of a TV spectacle, not having the international fans there, but it is something that the whole world will be able to tune in and watch, and hopefully can be a bit of light during a dark time. So fingers crossed it all goes well. It's above us, but I know they'll do a good job and make it as safe as possible.
Well, thank you so much for your answers. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Rachel from Minneapolis Star Tribune.
Hi, I have two questions. The first is for Alise. Corben was just talking about the physical toll that the sport takes on you. You've been at the top of your game for a long time now. How have you managed to do that? And then my second question is for Alise and Connor. I'd like to know about, now that BMX is an established Olympic sport, what has the Olympics done to help BMX grow and progress?
I guess I'll go first and answer both. So thank you, Rachel, for the question. I've definitely had my share of ups and downs and, like you said, body injuries. I went, there was a span there where I had 5 major surgeries over 4 seasons. And so I was off the bike more than I was on it. And that's tough. But at the end of the day, we have great support around us to be able to come back from those things and rehabilitation. And we have really good protective equipment that these things that happened were obviously bits and pieces that could happen doing really, any sport or any physical activity. And luckily, I've always had good protection with my head and all of the things that kept me safe in that regard. And I was able to just rehab things with world specialist doctors and be able to, get knee injuries or a hand, whatever it was, ankle injuries, things that happen to athletes in all sports. I was able to rehab those back. And I can't thank that team enough, because there were some pretty hard things, but I had a great specialist team through the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, as well as in Vail. They have a great program over there that helps specialist athletes and specialist surgeries. My London bid was kind of a last minute run. I had a very, very big injury before that one. That was essentially a completely blown hamstring and knee reconstruction, and along with multiple fractures and bones and whatnot else. That was meant to be like a year-long recovery at least. And I was fortunate to have a great medical team that got me back healthy and in training form within 5-6 months, and obviously was able to put together an okay season in 2012 to qualify for that games. And now here we are, 3 cycles, third cycle later, and I'm still competing and healthy from all of the team that put me back together from those multiple things. And I think it takes a lot of hard work and discipline from all athletes to stay in the game and keep their motivation. I think that injuries are kind of something that come as a professional athlete. That risk when you sign up for it in any sport, that there's a possibility of that happening. And the things off of the track and personal life can sometimes be even more taxing and tough to deal with. And growing as an athlete through the injuries as well as personal adversity and a home life, I think those things are what grow you, not only as an athlete, but as a person, and mature you. And now, here we are, like I said, 3 cycles later, and I feel better than ever, thanks to a great, more than 12 years. I've been riding this bike over 24 years. I'm still loving what I do because of the team around me and being able to overcome those things with a smile, thanks to, like I said, the team around me. And then as far as, sorry, what was the second question for me and Connor?
About what role has the Olympics played in helping BMX grow and progress?
Oh, yeah. So I definitely think it's been a huge, it's a massive platform. As Corben said, this is the biggest platform in the world, the biggest stage. And I think that for BMX racing as well, and all sports that aren't in the US as far as the major four, it's a huge platform for us to be on and be on TV and seen around the world. And I think that as far as the women's side of things go, that wasn't there, that path wasn't there in sport for us, and being able to make a career really out of this until that Olympic platform came into play. As a little girl, I always dreamt of going to the Olympics for gymnastics, not really BMX racing, because it wasn't a thing. And with a lot of hard work and a great team, and the Olympics, USA BMX, USA Cycling, and obviously the UCI joining in with the Olympic movement, I think that now it's been such an honor to be part of kind of that inaugural generation of all BMXers, and namely female athletes, that have kind of paved a path for young girls now can look up on the TV and see that it's possible. And I think sharing that message and that motivation is a big thing for the sport.
Yeah, I guess for me, what I would say as far as BMX in the Olympics, it's kind of legitimized the sport in a way maybe it wasn't beforehand. When I started racing in 1999, there wasn't the Olympics, there wasn't a pathway, and there wasn't the ability to go to college for BMX racing. And those are all things that have come about since the addition of BMX into the Olympic program. Myself, I was able to receive college scholarships from US Olympic team and USA BMX to put me through school, which is an opportunity that past generations didn't have. And that's directly due to BMX being in the Olympics, as well as, I think if you go out to any local track, I think USA BMX, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's over 320 tracks around the country, and you could go to any one of those tracks and ask those kids what they want to do. And every single one of those kids is going to say they want to go to the Olympics. And, I think it's given that target at the end for people to shoot for, whereas maybe before it was more of a hobby-based sport. And there wasn't as much of that kind of pathway. It's kind of given it that legitimacy and that pathway to go for the highest level of competition.
Okay, we have a question from Lisa from teamusa.org.
Hi guys, thank you so much for doing this. I just had a quick question. You had mentioned about how used to traveling and being on the road you guys are before this pandemic. What has the family time the past year been like? Has there been any adjustments? And for Corben, how did you juggle the training with a young son underfoot?
Yeah, it's definitely been different being at home. I don't know how much. I think I've only been on one flight, 2 flights since the pandemic has started within the past year or so. So for me, it's kind of been a blessing in disguise, especially having a young toddler. Yeah, it's been fun having a lot of family time, and really, like I said, being able to get healthy and just enjoy some other things rather than BMX racing. I mean, I think a lot of us, myself, Connor, Alise, started over 20 years ago racing BMX, and that's been pretty much full time since we were young little kids, when we were just having fun and going with families and stuff, racing and just enjoying it that way. And we've been racing for so long, and every year after year after year, and there's hardly no break. It's like, I think from grands till you start, it's like a month. It's nothing. So yeah, kind of crazy times. We were able to just be able to kind of put BMX on hold and spend time with family, or kind of do things that you normally didn't do, take some little vacations and go see things in the world or in the country that you normally don't get to see too much. So that's what I've been able to do. I mean, we took off to a few places I hadn't seen around Arizona that it's like, I live here. Why didn't you go see it? And been great for me to do that as a family and watch my son grow to where we were full-time, maybe I didn't have so much time to see him grow as a toddler and things like that. And kind of been a little bit of a blessing in disguise for the first time ever to kind of put BMX, not second, but kind of one of the things that you got to do to spend time with family and focus a little more on their time rather than all on my time. So it's been great for me and definitely refreshing and real stoked to get back into mostly all BMX and get ready for the Olympics and things like that, and race the USA BMX series and keep going with the BMX career. It's definitely been refreshing.
Did anyone else want to touch on that before I move on to the next question?
Yeah, I mean, I'll throw in just a comment, and as Corben said, it was nice we don't usually get a break. I think I can't speak for others, but for myself, it was the longest time that I took a break without being injured, like a chosen break from riding in my whole career. So it was definitely a bit different, but at the same time, I also think it made me realize, like, there would be times over the past 10 years where I'd be sitting at the airport at baggage claim, looking at the monitor. I couldn't even remember where I was flying home from because we just travel so much and race so much. And I would think to myself, man, I just want to stay home. I don't want to go to this next weekend. I don't want to race. And then all of a sudden, when all the races get ripped out from underneath you and you don't have anything, it kind of makes you realize, like, wow, I do get to go race that every weekend and travel the world. And it's pretty cool. And I look forward to having that back. So it's, it was also a little bit of a good reminder of, just how cool it is to travel the world racing a bike all the time, and what we do get to do, and definitely made you appreciate it a little bit more when we did start getting some races back on the calendar.
Okay, it looks like we have a question for Mike again from BMX News.
Thanks so much. Connor, this one's for you. In past Olympic cycles, USA Cycling and USOC built a replica track in Chula Vista for our teams to practice on, something that was widely lauded as very helpful in preparing the athletes for what they would face when they landed at the Olympic venue. Given the pandemic, I think a lot of us lost track of what types of resources this team was provided in terms of preparation. Do you have a replica or a partial replica features for the Tokyo track? And for readers who may not be familiar with the process of what you guys go through, how will your approach differ in Tokyo versus Rio and your other experiences?
Yeah, I'll answer the first bit about the replica first. They have made some changes to what was the London track, which turned into the Rio track, and it now has some features from the Tokyo track there. Again, I can't speak for others. I can only speak for myself, but for London, I rode the actual London, the Chula Vista replica London, and the Poppendal replica London, and they were all completely different. As then the same thing with Rio, I rode the real one, and multiple replicas. And, with dirt, it's kind of hard to get the jumps to be the same. Like, just because you put a double here or this type of jump there doesn't necessarily mean it's going to ride the exact same. It was helpful, but I don't want to go as far as to say like it was for sure the reason why certain athletes were able to have success, whether, even going back to Beijing with Mike and Donnie and Jill. So the fact that we have 2 supercross tracks in Chula Vista, as well as another 5 or 6 around the country to choose from, I think we have plenty of resources. And again, the age and the experience of all the athletes, I guess, except for Payton, we've all raced, hundreds of tracks, and you were not going to kind of see any jumps that we haven't seen before. And then to answer the second part of as far as what doing differently or anything different, the real difference with Tokyo, I guess, compared to any other ones, they did change track builders. It was Tom Ritz in 8, 12, and 16, and they've gone to Thomas Hamon, a French gentleman, to build this track. So it does have a bit of a different flavor. And the biggest difference, I guess, would be that it's about 10 seconds longer. So there has been a little bit, at least in my program, there's been a little bit more focus on fitness and conditioning, just to make sure that we're ready to hold on for that extra 10 seconds because the lap times are going to be a little bit longer than in past Olympic Games. But other than that, it's just going to be hitting the jumps as smooth as possible, getting a good start, and all the same ingredients that lead to being successful at really any other BMX race.
Awesome. Thanks.
I was going to throw a question out there to Shane, just what he hopes fans and viewers get from watching BMX racing at this Olympics.
I think that's an easy one. It's inspiration. I mean, these are we're sitting here on the screen, and it's the best BMX riders in the world, in my opinion. And I think, Connor kind of nailed it on the head as he was talking about having a target to shoot for. I mean, you all are what the next generation and of the legacy of BMX here and now. So watching those families see where their child could aspire to be, what's possible, whether it's the Olympics, whether it's getting college tuition and scholarships, whether it's just pushing yourself to be at the level you all perform. It's inspirational. I think that's what the Olympics are. And the fact that we're holding it, it's the biggest stage, as Corben mentioned. I get excited because I know that at least like, especially here in Tulsa, or my friends who aren't super familiar with BMX, they're watching it, particularly this year, because of everything and the things that they're seeing. So I think the reach, we're seeing it in our membership, we're seeing it in our races. The reach is going to be exponentially larger this year. And I again, you guys are going to just be such an inspiration for everybody.
Thank you, Shane. We'll go to Rachel from Star Tribune.
Yeah, if I could follow up with Shane, just wanted to ask about the fact that you do have a number of athletes now that are real veterans in your sport and have done a lot, I think, to bring recognition to BMX racing. What has that generation, people like Connor and Alise, what have they meant to your sport?
Oh, I mean, you look at our Hall of Fame, which is, we're moving here to Tulsa, and whether you're even the 2-year-old, 3-year-olds we see on the Strider bikes now, up to multi-generational, from their parents to the grandparents, they are the heroes. And it's just like any sport. And I think that's one of the things that we want to aspire to do, is really when the riders and the racers get to the level that this team is, that we're doing our part to elevate them, to make sure that our pro purses continue to grow, so that they can make a good lifestyle and make a healthy living at it. So our pros, especially the Olympic team, are the heroes, and they are what I think fuel every generation of BMXers. So in my opinion, they are probably when we use the term elite, it's not just their skill set, it's their ability to inspire.
And Mike, we'll go to you.
Thanks again. Alise, this one's for you. I've heard the very real and quite overwhelming feeling that the first time Olympians experience, with all the sights and sounds and media attention, everything being scheduled to the second. This will obviously be your 3rd Olympic Games. So does one become somewhat conditioned to those, I took out the word immune, to those distractions after the first time? Or is it always at that high level of amperage? And then as a follow-up to that, did you bestow any advice to your teammates on the women's team who are entering the Olympic realm for the first time?
Thanks, Mike. Yes, it is definitely overwhelming, maybe is the right word, for the first time you go into that Olympic Village and feel that atmosphere and that vibe. But I do think we are going to be in a very different situation this time around. We don't know what that's going to look like. So I think it's going to be new to everyone this time around. But I think that, yes, experience has definitely played in all of our favor, being that, you're there to essentially, it sounds so kind of harsh, but you're there to do a job, you know, like we train all these years to do this thing. And as amazing as the entire Olympic experience is, I think that, you know, the older you get, the more you appreciate it for what it is, but you remember, you know, I'm here to do this job, and you refine your own routines of what gets you in the place that makes that lap on that big global platform the same as riding practice at the local track on Tuesday night. You have to be able to raise your intensity in the training to be able to execute, you know, you race like you practice. So I think that in that regard, having that experience definitely helps. And unfortunately, I don't know how that first experience is going to be this time around for Payton. I know Felicia was with us in Rio as an alternate, so she has been into the Olympic Village and ridden as an alternate, so has a bit of that experience. Payton, I'm not sure what that's going to look like for her. I haven't had any conversations yet. Payton got back from Colombia, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, something like that. I have not seen her, but yes, I think it'll be very different experience for everyone this time around.
Thank you.
Okay, any final questions?
Yes, I have a question for Felicia and Payton. Going into the Olympics and training, with the Supercross 8-meter hill being the kind of the spectacle of the Olympic Games, where are you choosing to travel? Where are there certain tracks that you're leaning towards that showed different challenges that you'd use in Tokyo?
Hello. I'll start. So me and Payton actually were talking about this recently. We have somewhat similar plans going into the Olympics. We're both from not the West Coast area. I'm from Indiana and she is from Pennsylvania. So we are in a different area than the other three athletes. I'm fortunate to have an 8-meter like 2 hours away from me, but at the same time, I want to ride with like Payton and possibly Alise and some other girls as well. So we're planning to go to Chula Vista soon in a couple weeks just to get some more time riding with girls that will also be competing in the games. So yeah, we have both similar plans if Payton wants to say anything.
Yeah, so like Felicia said, we do both live in places where we don't have access to as much as people on the West Coast would. So my closest Supercross hill is Rock Hill, which is 9 hours away. So I honestly rarely get to ride Supercross. So to get the opportunity to go out to Chula and train there for a few weeks is just going to be awesome because, like I said, I don't get a lot of time to just kind of focus on stuff on the big hill. And if I do make a trip down to Rock Hill or something, it's usually just 2 days and that's it. So I really don't get to spend a lot of time on it. So then to just like get experience like riding with the other girls like Felicia is just the best thing for us. So yep, that's it.
Okay, I think if there's no final questions, we'll wrap it up. And I really just want to end by saying thank you to all the media that have covered us during this crazy year and just sticking with us and covering BMX racing. And really to the athletes, I say thank you and I'm sorry for all the media requests. And it's been a crazy balance because I know you need to focus on training, but I know you guys also like to promote the sport. So appreciate you. Good luck. Go Team USA. And thank you all for joining us.
Go USA. So proud of you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.